Look, some people stumble into relationships by accident, but I hunted mine like it was the last limited edition gadget on Black Friday and Dylan was the prize. I'm Brianna, 26. Back then, I worked retail at one of those big department stores where you pretend to fold clothes while silently critiquing customers' outfits. Dylan came into my life at a baseball game. You know how some guys get all overprotective and start explaining plays as if you're clueless about sports? That was him. He was doing this whole, "let me show you how this works" routine while handing me overpriced stadium nachos. And honestly, I ate it up, even though I probably knew more about batting averages than he did. But hey, he was trying. After months of dating guys who thought Netflix and chill was the height of romance, Dylan felt like winning the lottery. He worked in logistics, moving boxes or managing shipments. Boring, stable, predictable. Enough to always cover dinner, but not enough to get arrogant about it. The first few months were amazing. And I'm not sugarcoating it to make what came later worse. He actually cooked meals, not just a frozen pizza tossed in the oven, and called it a date night. He texted good mornings without me having to train him. Listened when I ranted about work drama. Didn't immediately hit on me. I remember thinking, finally, a guy who gets it. But here's the thing about guys who seem too good to be true, they usually are. From experience, small things started setting off alarms. Like when I asked to see his phone to check the time, he handed it over too easily. Normal guys hesitate, crack a joke about browser history. Dylan just slid it over with a rehearsed-looking, innocent smile. I started testing him, basic girlfriend stuff. "Hey, can I see your phone?" And every time, nothing. Zero questionable texts, no hidden dating apps, no strange photos. Just work updates, sports chatter with friends, messages with his dad about golf. Almost disappointing, like finding all your Christmas presents are practical socks instead of something fun. I wondered if he was just careful, had a secret phone, or deleted everything instantly. Then one evening, he was supposed to pick me up at 7. By 7:15, I'm standing there watching cars. He rolls up at 7:20 with some story about being stuck behind a tractor. Really? A tractor in our area? He laughs about it, calls me Stacy, not even close to my name. Either he's the world's best liar or he's telling the truth. Both options made me uneasy. Punctual guys don't just become late unless something shifts. Usually, someone else enters the picture. But Dylan acted like it was nothing. Red flags piled up. Restaurants, casual ones, and waitresses overly friendly. One kept coming back, chatting, laughing at his boring comments, leaning over the table. Dylan. Oblivious. "She's just being nice," he said. Same thing at a coffee shop, grocery store, walking downtown, women flirting or complimenting him, he remained clueless. Was he genuinely clueless or just playing innocent? In my experience, guys who act oblivious notice more than anyone else. They just make you feel possessive and paranoid. Then came the classic guys' night with college buddies. I wasn't invited. "It's just a guys' night," he said, trying to sound casual. "Sure, have fun," I told him. Deep down, I knew this is when real colors show, strip clubs, flirting, whatever they think they can get away with. He texted throughout the night, trying too hard to prove innocence. At 10:30, a group selfie arrives. Him with his friends at a bar, everyone making dumb faces, beers raised. I zoom in like a detective looking for crime evidence. And there she is, a random girl photobombing, barely in the frame. She's barely even in the picture. Just her face peeking over someone's shoulder. But for some reason, her presence drove me insane. Who was she? Why was she close enough to photobomb Dylan's night out? How did she even end up there? I called him immediately, hearing loud music and chatter in the background. "Who's that girl in your photo?" He sounds confused, maybe a little drunk. "What girl? Which photo?" I explain, "The one he just sent me, the one with the girl in the background." There's a pause while he probably shows it to his friends. Then he comes back with, "Oh, that's probably someone's coworker or girlfriend. I honestly don't know her name." That's exactly the kind of answer someone gives when they're hiding something. You don't know her name, but she's close enough to appear in your photo. It's crowded here, Brianna. People everywhere. She probably just walked by when we took it. We argued for 20 minutes while I could hear his friends laughing in the background. He was getting frustrated, but I needed answers. Who was she? Why the same bar? How did he really not know her? And why did he sound so defensive over a reasonable question about a stranger in a photo? Maybe I should have trusted him, but trust doesn't come easy after getting burned before. And Dylan was too perfect, too understanding, too accommodating, never really angry at my paranoia. Key point 3, the golf trip. When his dad invited him for a weekend, every alarm in my head screamed. 2 full days of not knowing where he was, who he was with, what could happen. I tried to act casual, but inside, I was panicking. So, who's going on this trip? I asked, keeping my tone light. He lists his dad and a bunch of his dad's friends. Just old dudes, he says, like that's reassuring. I press, any daughters or unexpected guests? Nope, all guys. Just us, complaining about golf and back pain. He tried to make it sound boring and harmless. But guys' trips are where stuff happens, strip clubs, hotel bars, flirting. 2 days is plenty of time to get into trouble. I made him promise to text constantly, send pictures, show he was thinking about me and not distracted. He agreed, probably to stop me from spiraling. The first day, texts were perfect, selfies on the course, complaints about swings, heat, even a photo of a dull clubhouse lunch. Miss you, he texted. Second day, responses grew shorter, less detailed. Golf. Dinner with dad. It felt like he was pulling away, hiding something, minimizing contact. I imagined every scenario: women flirting at the course, bartenders giving numbers, hotel events, daughters of his dad's friends joining. By Sunday night, my anxiety had peaked. Every possible scenario felt real, convincing me he was hiding something. When he returned, he acted completely normal. Flowers, dinner, stories about golf disasters, his dad embarrassing himself. No hint of guilt, nothing unusual. In fact, his perfect behavior made me more suspicious. If he'd done anything, wouldn't he act guilty, nervous, or different? Instead, he was just sweet Dylan, pretending all was the same. Key point 4, the breaking point. 2 days after the golf trip, I decided I couldn't wait for him to confess. If he wasn't volunteering the truth, I'd find it myself. His iPad sat on the coffee table when I got home early Tuesday. My chance. I went through everything: messages, photos, search history, anything to see what really happened during those 2 days of terrible golf. Then I found it. A text from someone named Casey: "Great weekend. Let's do it again in a few months." My heart stopped. Casey. He'd never mentioned her. Not on the trip, not in updates, not in his mundane stories about golf disasters. This was it, the proof. He'd been lying the entire time. Casey was clearly some woman he'd met on the trip. Maybe a daughter of one of the guys, maybe a bartender, maybe a hotel guest. And here she was, already making plans to see him again. Let's do it again. Do what again? Golf. Or whatever else they'd been doing while I sat at home trusting him like a fool. I screenshotted the message and just stared at it, rage building like nothing I'd ever felt. All the times he'd made me feel crazy for asking questions. All the times he acted like my suspicions were overblown. All the times he handed over his phone like he had nothing to hide. And now there was proof. I'd been right all along. He'd planned the whole thing. The sweet act, the boring golf stories, the perfect boyfriend routine, all a cover for whatever he'd done with Casey. And he was good at it. I actually believed him when he said it was just his dad and some old guys. I even felt guilty for being suspicious. By the time Dylan got home from work, I was ready to explode. Hours spent staring at that text, imagining what he and Casey had done, thinking about how foolish I'd been to trust him. He walked through the door wearing that same innocent smile, and I screamed, "Who the is Casey?" The confusion on his face didn't fool me anymore. "What are you talking about, Brianna?" I shoved the iPad in his face, showing the text. "This Casey, the one who wants to do it again. Don't you dare lie to me." He glanced at it for 2 seconds. "Casey is my dad's friend, Casey Mitchell. He's like 55, been playing golf with my dad for 20 years. I didn't buy it. You expect me to believe that? You've been lying to me all this time, and now you want me to think Casey's some old man. He pulled out his phone. I can show you a picture. He's in the group photo from the first day. I didn't want to see his evidence. I was done being manipulated. Stop lying. I know what this is. I know what "let's do it again" means. And then I snapped. Anger took over. I looked at his golf bag by the door, those expensive clubs he bragged about, the ones he spent more on than on me. I grabbed the biggest one and started swinging at everything I could reach. First the TV, then the computer, speakers, the lamp, anything valuable. Dylan yelled, trying to stop me, but I didn't care. I wanted him to feel even a fraction of the rage I felt. "Stop, Brianna. Just stop," he shouted. But I couldn't. And then the words I could never take back came out. "Well, I cheated on you while you were away, because I knew you were going to cheat on me with Casey." The silence was deafening. Dylan froze, no longer yelling, just staring. "You what?" "I cheated," I repeated louder. "Because if it's out there, I might as well own it, just like you planned with Casey." He stammered. "Casey is a 55-year-old married man with kids. Brianna, he's my dad's golf buddy since before I was born." But I was done listening to lies. And it wasn't even the first time. "I've been seeing other people for months," I said. "True. Trevor from work, Marcus from a dating app, exciting distractions from the same dull routine with Dylan. Same meals, same sex, same boring stories about golf, friends, and work. I was 26, trapped with someone who felt decades older. When Dylan asked, voice trembling, "Where? With who?" I didn't answer. This wasn't about accountability. It was about him finally facing the truth. "Does it matter? You'd do the same thing with Casey anyway." "Casey is my dad's friend," he yelled, real emotion breaking through. "Casey Mitchell, 55, married, 3 kids, grandchild on the way." He tried showing me Facebook pictures, but I refused. "Don't bother. I know what I know. You destroyed my apartment and lied because you thought I was having an affair with a 55-year-old golf buddy. Ridiculous, but I saw it. Get out," he finally said, cold and empty. "Out of my apartment right now." I left, purse in hand, stepping over broken glass and shattered electronics like it wasn't my mess. I stayed with my friend Hannah. For the first time in months, I felt free. No more pretending to be interested, no more justifying friendships, no more walking on eggshells while he played the perfect boyfriend. The next morning, I felt not guilty. Maybe a little weird about how it ended, but free. For the first time, I could be honest about what I wanted and who I was, without managing someone else's feelings. So I texted him. "Hey, I'm sorry about yesterday. I know things got intense, but can we talk?" I figured once he'd cooled off, we could work this out. Maybe even have a better relationship now that all the lies were out in the open. But he never responded. Hours passed. No read receipt. So I tried again. "I miss you. I know everything got crazy, but we've been together too long to just throw it away over one fight." Still nothing. Radio silence, like I didn't even exist. And then it hit me. He was probably already talking to Casey, telling her how psycho his ex-girlfriend was, making himself the victim. I sent one last text. "I should have known you'd run to Casey the first chance you got. At least now you don't have to sneak around anymore." No response. His silence felt worse than any argument. We were erased from each other's lives. Key point 6. Karma. 3 weeks later, I was at Hannah's apartment trying to figure out my next move when someone knocked. Hannah peeked and said, "It's a police officer asking for you." My stomach dropped. I'd hoped Dylan would let it go. The officer handed me an envelope, restraining order and criminal charges for destruction of property. Dylan had documented everything: the broken TV, destroyed computer, smashed speakers, the dented wall. Total damage, over $4,000,000, $4,000,000 for stuff that could be replaced. While he played victim after all he'd done with his lies and manipulation. "You need to appear in court on this date," the officer said. Suddenly, it was real. And the humiliation didn't stop there. Word about our breakup got around work. Hannah had apparently told everyone about my confession, including the cheating and destruction over a text from his dad's golf buddy. People whispered, gave me looks. My supervisor called me in, citing concerns about my personal life affecting the store's reputation. I wasn't fired outright, but I had to quit, unemployed and facing criminal charges simultaneously. Meanwhile, Dylan thrived. Through mutual acquaintances, I heard he'd gotten a promotion, joined a golf league with his dad, and seemed happier, more confident, and relaxed than ever. Losing me had freed him. The court case was brutal. Dylan showed up with his dad and a lawyer, calm and collected, while I represented myself. He had photos, receipts, even a recording of my shouting and smashing things. I tried to explain that I'd been provoked, that anyone would react to betrayal like that. But then Dylan's lawyer showed Casey Mitchell's profile, family photos, work info, golf posts going back years. My story sounded ridiculous. The judge ordered restitution plus court costs, nearly $6,000, and issued a permanent restraining order. 4 months later, I worked a lower-paying retail job, still paying off the debt, living with Hannah. Dylan had moved to a nicer apartment, dating a woman his age who shared his interests. I ran into his dad at a mall and tried to explain myself. His look was pure contempt. You destroyed my son's home because you thought he was cheating with me and my 55-year-old golf buddy. Casey and I still laugh about it every time we play golf. Then he walked away, leaving me smaller than ever. The worst part? Everyone else saw what I couldn't. I'd ruined my life chasing suspicion that wasn't real. But here's the truth no one wants to admit. Dylan's act was too perfect. Normal people hide something. He hid nothing, but that perfection was exactly what made him suspicious. If he's thriving now, happier without me, maybe that proves he was never truly invested in us. At least now he's with someone who won't ask questions, won't expect honesty, won't dig for the truth. Maybe that's exactly the relationship he wanted all along. One where he never has to be accountable, and no one challenges the story he chooses to tell.